Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA. Ocala.
6 minutes after 9 o'clock, it is time for In the Garden with Carol Ann. Carol Ann Baldwin is in the studio. She's, of course, a master gardener, and she'll answer your questions about your gardens and your lawns and everything associated with those two places in your world. Good morning, Carol Ann. How you doing?
Good morning, Larry. Real good. And we'll also we'll talk about your stuff going on in your tikis and in your everywhere else.
There you go. Right.
Whatever you've got going. And, of course, today's show, as usual on Tuesday mornings, is brought to you by Black Cow Manure, Baldwin's Camellia Gardens and Nurseries, and PMP Tikis and more.
Nice.
So,
they have fountains, and
the
last week we had a big education on what they do.
We had a wonderful sit-in with them, and that was a good...
1 week ago.
Yeah.
So I know you saw my video.
Yeah.
I made of my sago palm.
Yes.
What the video doesn't show you is what it smells like.
Right.
It smells sweet.
Vision. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be an attracting.
So I've never,
quality.
when I've had the single cone, I've never smelled it. But now that I have seven of them.
Multiple cones that really, I'm going to have to come by and look at it in person.
So the reason I did the video.
Right.
Is because the bees...
You could see them
with them moving, you can see them easier. And there was lots of them.
Right.
So that's... a regular photograph might not have... You might not have seen the bees.
Right.
The other thing is, I Googled it. Mm-hmm. And apparently, having more than one cone... Uh-huh. And I guess that's what I'm calling it.
It's a cone.
Is rare. It was rare according to Google.
Right.
So and the other one they showed on Google, this rare photograph from Georgia somewhere.
Okay.
I said, well, hey, I got something rare.
There you go.
Whatever.
Something unique. Which what I think is unusual, and I probably should see whether or not doing any investigation, because you have always had single cone.
Right.
Why is it suddenly multi-cone?
Yeah, really.
We sometimes see things like that when it's actually more like an annual plant, like say a squash plant, where you get a sudden variation and it's actually a virus within the plant. Doesn't necessarily harm anything. It just makes things look different.
Really?
Or sometimes you'll plant a series of other flowering plants, and you'll have one that is suddenly variegated where the rest are solid color, and that's just, what they call a sport.
And is that technically the flower?
On those, yes.
Yeah, that's the flower.
That would be the flower.
And you do have a phone call. Let's go to the phone. Good morning. You're on the air with Carol Ann.
Good morning, Carol Ann.
Morning.
I got a little problem here.
Okay.
In my front lawn and a couple of spots in the back, the ground feels like it's hollow.
Okay.
And one of the things I noticed the other day, especially in the front near my driveway, I saw one of these critters crawling across, and it looked like a one of those blind crickets.
Oh, a mole cricket?
Yeah, like a mole cricket. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm just wondering, when I lifted up some of those hollow sections, I didn't see anything under there, but I also noticed that the roots of the grass were almost non-existent.
Right. The hollowing, usually the mole crickets will leave, and you may not see it under the turf, about finger-sized tunnels around. So something maybe up to about an inch wide and that size throughout. Usually you'll see the tunnels in garden areas or areas where there's not anything growing, but they do feed on the roots. You probably saw me, probably came up, it may have been raining, the light shining down on it. If you found it in the evening, they will come up out of the ground under for light or towards light. You can put down a pesticide for the lawn, but you got to have one that's actually going to penetrate the soil. So though I'm not a big one, you know me, I don't normally recommend brands, but I would say that the Bear Complete is about the only one that I know of that truly goes underground to go after the mole crickets. It's not that the mole cricket has to come out of the ground in order to make contact with the herbicide. The next one I would use would probably be the triazicide kind of type product that goes down somewhat, but not necessarily as effectively.
Well, I tried putting down some of the pesticides. I used the I don't know, one of the powdered granules.
Okay.
I put it down with around the plants. I did it with a shaker, so I wouldn't be getting too much of that stuff on the plant itself.
Right.
And then I used one of those hand crank spreaders for the one area, and I'm thinking, the same thing you just mentioned, though. The stuff doesn't seem to be getting into the, penetrating. It's just laying there, even when you water it in.
Right, because you do have to water. You do have to water them in, generally right after you apply them, but at least within 24 hours.
Oh, well, I got a little bit of time then, but I did water that in, and the other thing is, would you suggest doing another application of a bug killer in about a week or 10 days?
I'd probably say about 10 to 14 days is normally what the packaging will recommend, that if you have a serious issue going on, is to repeat an application at about a week and a half to 2 weeks afterwards.
Because I noticed that some of the areas when I was also using the hose, you could hear the water hitting, and it didn't seem like it was penetrating, but yet you had that hollow sound.
And you're not having areas where when you walk there's any dips, like actually that there might be a mole under there, is it?
I know I do have some moles.
Okay.
And I usually use the mole repelling things, either a windmill or there's one that it's solar powered. And you stick it in the ground.
Right.
And that seems to be working.
Right.
There's nothing around where the stuff is, where the apparatus is.
Okay, right. Yeah, they're supposed to, and they do work well for a lot of people. I have had people come back and say it really does help. But if you've still got it and you want to make sure there are liquids of all of these over the counter, the pesticides that you can use on your lawn. The way for me to use it on a lawn would be to get one of the ones that would go in a hose end, and that may actually get you a little better activity on that, even though that's still only going to get into that top quarter of an inch, where on the granulated, when you put the granulated down, if it can get off of there and get down past that thatch layer or down past the organic material in the turf, to be able to penetrate the ground by the couple of inches where the mole crickets are actually at.
It seems like really inundated with these critters this year for some reason.
And some years they will. They'll suddenly get up a population where they become a problem, and you'll get rid of them, and you won't have a problem for 2, 3, 4 years, and suddenly you'll have another problem begin to come back up, that the population builds again. We didn't have much of a winter, really, even though I know I complained a lot about the cold. We didn't have the real severe cold weather, so I think some of our pest issues might be a little exasperated this year. Mole crickets are underground; they spend their time underground. But if you've got unfortunately, you got a nice healthy lawn, they're gonna like that, because it's got plenty of feeding ground for them.
Well, my other thing is, I'm getting ready to go out there and do that now, is run a aerator, a lawn tractor, or
right.
lawn, lawn
that goes around,
and, I have an aerator that you can hook on the back of this thing, and I put like 4 cement blocks on the darn thing, on the aerator, and tow it around.
Right.
So I know it goes down at least an inch.
Right.
It seems like that inch would be enough to go and penetrate the this covering over where the bugs have been chopping away.
Right. That should help, especially when did you put down the pesticide?
Oh, it was last a little over a week ago.
Okay. With you doing the aeration now, and then if you go ahead and do it, and make it about 10 days at least apart, or read the package of what you had and see how soon after the one application you can do a second one. And that aeration should be able to make that a little easier for that to get down in the ground. But your best bet would be to put it down and then water it. If you don't have you don't have an irrigation system, do you?
No.
Well, get out there with the hose then and wet it in, because if you let it just sit there for too long, you figure the sun, the heat, and the humidity begins to break those chemicals down. They really are not real long-lived.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and I'm going to get ready to do battle.
There you go. Good luck with it.
Thank you. We'll take a
Thanks, Seth.
Thank you. We'll take a little break and we'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. It'll be partly sunny and warm today with a hit-or-miss thunderstorm, high 87 to 91. Partly cloudy tonight, low 67 inland, 72 along the coast. Tomorrow, times of clouds and sun with a shower or thunderstorm in spots, mainly during the afternoon hours over the interior. The high 88 to 92. Thursday, partly sunny with a shower or thunderstorm around in the afternoon. High 84 at the coast, 90 inland. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Wow, I can't believe what I'm seeing. Who did this?
P&P Tikis and more, of course. Now I have a tiki hut for shade, and I can enjoy the sounds of my cascading fountain while feeding my koi fish in my own pond. They even fixed my fence and redid all my landscaping. Nice to see a professional, reliable, family-owned business. Yes, P&P Tikis is the natural Florida tiki builder and water features designer. With free estimates, P&P Tikis is licensed and insured. Call 352-877-3307 for your very own tiki hut and more. That's 352-877-3307. P&P Tikis.
So you need a credit card, but how do you choose? Let's compare the big banks to Florida Credit Union. They have rewards, and we do too. They have customer service. Hello, 24/7. They have celebrities. Hey, Danny. But with Florida Credit Union, there's no annual fee, no liability for fraudulent charges, and no 22% interest rates. Choose Florida Credit Union, and you'll not only have a great credit card, but you'll have the support and personal touch that the big banks, can't touch. Florida Credit Union, connecting your money to your life. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Black Cow composted cow manure is a terrific organic soil amendment. We start with cow manure from dairy farms and then compost it a full 90 days. The result is an all-natural, dark, rich soil amendment that's great for everything you grow. Flowers, vegetables, shrubs, trees, and lawns too. Look for Black Cow in the bright yellow and black bag at your favorite nursery or garden center.
Black Cow, the mature manure, Black Cow.
Right on the southwestern corner of the square sits one of the finest dining establishments in Florida, Mark's Prime Steakhouse and Seafood Restaurant. Mark's offers big city dining amenities in a charming and small town setting. It's a rare treat to experience both the ambiance and the exquisite cuisine in a friendly atmosphere. Ocala's finest restaurant serves the finest beef, the freshest seafood, premium wines, and naturally fresh vegetables. From valet parking to splendid service, Mark's offers the complete package. Check it out today. Mark's Prime Seafood and Steakhouse Restaurant.
Putting the local back into radio. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. WOCA News. Variety. Information. Now. Keep your arms and legs on the inside at all times.
WOCA. AM 1370.
96.3. 96.3.
1370 WOCA.
19 minutes after 9 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Carol Ann Baldwin is here. If I were not working here, I would be tuned into this show. I love this show. If you have a call for Carol Ann, I know there was a few of you trying to call in. The lines are completely open right now, so if you want to call, the number is 622-9622.
And just as something as, because it's terrible. I don't do a whole lot of show prep. If something catches my attention in the week between one Tuesday and the next Tuesday is when I come up with an idea to talk about. Right. And so this time we might get into some of the invasive things, because Cuban tree frogs is what came up yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
And it just kind of piqued my interest to keep going. And so maybe we'll get into that. But I see we've got a call. So.
Yeah, we do. Good morning. You're on the air with Carol Ann.
Yes, good morning, Carol Ann. Yeah, you were talking with Sunny a few minutes ago about mold cricket. I've got kind of a big problem in my yard, too. You recommended a product name, Granular. Could you repeat that? I didn't get the name of that.
Okay, it's and like I say, I don't necessarily like to recommend one over another, but it is the Bear Complete. The Bear Advanced. It's their complete insecticide for soil and turf.
Okay, you would probably get it at Lowe's?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and that's a granular, and that's got to be watered in.
It is a granular. It has to be watered in, and I'll explain why I do like it better than the other ones, and it's because it's the way it was explained really to me, is of the three name brands, and and then you get to your other off brands and things like that, the carrying agent, it's what they put those chemicals on. It's because all of them are pretty good pesticides as per se, but I'll even say the Bear is probably better than that, but than some. It's what they're on, that when you put it down, you've got to get that pesticide off of that carrying agent and down into the target area, into the soil, into the turf, where it's going to take care of those pests. And the Bear one happens to be on like a clay type base, like almost similar to like a Milorganite, where that will melt when put to water. That will actually begin to break down. The other ones are on ground corn cob and ground nutshell kind of thing, and they never melt, so it never actually gets a chance to get down past that ground level, past the thatch layer, the roots and things like that are there. Not that they're bad in the soil, but it just sort of binds with that and prevents it from getting any further. So it's that's where mostly, even though everybody knows my background here, and it's on that it is something I do find it to be a superior product, in that sense as well.
Yeah, well, I suppose it comes in maybe like a 40-pound bag or so. I got an acre a lot, so I need quite a bit.
They come in 10-pound and 20-pound bags. With anything is how any of the pest controls usually come, and covering anywhere from. They say 10 to 20,000 square feet. Those higher numbers on those bags are at the lowest rate in which they're effective. If you're going for your underground pest control type thing, or for them to last for seasonally, you're running at your higher rates. And the bag will tell you that, whether or not you're going 1 pound per 1,000 square feet, 2 or 3 pounds. It usually runs in that method. The one drawback from the Bear Advanced is it's not allowed to be used around anything edible. So it's strictly for your lawn and landscape. You're welcome.
Thank you. The phone line is open if you want to call Carol Ann, 622-9622.
Yeah, and just on those, I mean, you go in with your liquid products on any of these. Again, as I always say, read and follow label instructions, and you can always pick your product of choice. I'm not saying you got to run out and buy. These guys aren't sponsors of the show, so that's why I hate to mention their names. But it's the kind of thing that with the liquid ones, they come as a concentrate that you would mix yourself or something in a hose end. If you read the instructions on the concentrate, you're putting your 1 to 3 ounces per the directions, whatever it is, per gallon of water, and each gallon goes 500 square feet. If you're doing this with a pump-up sprayer, you're standing in one spot for a long time. So your hose end sprayers actually work better at an applicating ability. So if you don't have a spreader for your lawn, the hose end's probably going to be your better way to go. And then if you want the concentrate, if you have like a dial and spray type sprayer, that's going to apply it in a greater rate.
Okay, let's go back to the phone. Good morning. You're on there with Carol Ann.
Good morning.
Morning.
I have a sago palm that hasn't been taken care of. It's about 30 years old.
Okay.
And I had my yard man try to trim it up, and he took all the fronds off, except now I've got 3 trunks coming up.
Okay.
With new growth on top.
Nice. Good.
These trunks are about 3 to 4 feet long.
Uh-huh.
Now, I don't know what I should do to it to make it look decent now.
Well,
there's three of these trunks coming out.
Right.
Way up in there, and then the fronds, all the other fronds are cut off.
Right, because he took them all off, and yeah, that does make them look kind of weird. There's not a whole lot you can do to make them look nicer. Except maybe plant something around it, leaving the fronds that have come, the new fronds that are coming on, and just continuing to leave any of the new growth that comes on. Don't cut it off, and they'll look better. And a lot of times, small ones, little pups, will come up at the bottom, giving you somewhat of cover across those trunks. That's always been my issue with the sago palm. When you cut everything off, they're not real pretty once you do that.
I know. Should I leave all 3 of these, or cut 2 of them off and leave a single one?
I would probably leave the 3 of them together, and then as it starts, and you'll see, and there probably are some pups at the bottom that just need to put some growth on, and you'll see those begin to sprout out, and that might give you some of the coverage to make it look a little better for you aesthetically.
Okay.
All right.
Well, it's my fault because I let them go for 30 years.
Right.
Now I'm trying to make them do something nice. But,
right.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yeah, with the sago palms, and I know we've talked about this before on the sagos. Is why do you pros or cons one way or the other? And to me, aesthetically, I like the fronds coming all the way to the ground to where it looks more like a bush.
Yeah, which is how I have mine because I took your advice.
Right, and then though it does make it hard to mow. But because they're sharp, they're pokey, they're not.
And in my case, they're a little bit haphazard.
Right,
they're not as symmetric.
Because there's probably more trunks under there.
That's what I'm thinking.
And that's what happens is we get in there and we get gung ho and we get lopping with everything and cutting everything off, and the next thing you know, you've got I don't know what you'd call it, a trunk that's not a real attractive trunk with an umbrella top on it, and. Then you got to let the stuff on the bottom grow back again. But if you've had, you may want to do that if you've ever had a problem with the scale or anything like that. If you've had to attack and really come in on something like that, you can remove the other trunks. But to me, I would be leaving them to let that try to fill again on the bottom, allowing those smaller ones just to come up and grow too.
We're about 2 minutes away from the bottom of the hour break, but real quickly, I want to tell you something. I've never really worried about watering my lawn.
No.
But right now, it looks like it's pretty dry.
Yeah, it probably needs some water.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it probably needs some water. We haven't had any good rain, at least in our part of the area. I heard this morning somebody said Leesburg got like 5.5 inches of rain yesterday. I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I haven't had anything. My car is dust all over it. So
yeah,
it's the grass
very dusty.
And everything. So
the grass hardly grew since last week when I cut it this week.
And now footprints are staying in it. So if you're somebody who's a minimalist on your irrigation, on your water,
I'm a minimalist.
I would turn the sprinklers on and give it a good drink in the morning. Yeah.
In the morning.
Preferably in the morning.
I'm never there in the morning.
Well, you need one of those timers to go on the end of your hose.
Oh, that's true.
Where you can put it out there, flip that timer on, and it'll turn it off. It won't turn it back on. You get the little inexpensive ones. You just flip it around for an hour, let it do its thing.
I didn't know there was such a thing.
Yeah, they're about $20.
Really?
Yeah. So.
So I need to go to the lawn
and gardens department of your favorite big box store, not sure if ones would sell.
Do you like those collapsible garden hoses?
The new ones they have seen on TV kind of things?
I saw them in Walmart.
Yeah. I know someone who has them, and she likes them. They are very lightweight. For Florida or for active gardeners, I'm not sure how hardy or how durable they'll be. But if you can carry it, if it's something you put back in your garden bucket and carry it back in with you, they'll probably last you for a while.
Yeah, it's true. The sun might deteriorate it, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll take a little break and be right back. We got a full half hour left, so if you want to call, 622-9622.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. Another deadly quake shakes Nepal as survivors scramble to reach loved ones.
I'm trying to go to my home, but network is busy.
There are reports of dozens killed.
This time, the 7.3 magnitude quake is some 2 miles deeper than the last. That means it should, in theory at least, have less impact. Aid organizations should be in place and ready to go.
Ashish Joshi with Fox Sister Network Sky News. It's You've Got Deal for Verizon and AOL. Telecom buying AOL for around $4.4 billion.
Shares of AOL soaring into the pre-market after that announcement. Its businesses include the Huffington Post and the TechCrunch blog.
Fox Biz Network's Ashley Webster and Secretary of State John Kerry is in the Black Sea resort of Sochi for a meeting with the Russian president. Fox News, we report, you decide.
It's been a long day. You've walked through 18 open houses, and you're pretty sure 10 of them have been ignored since the 80s. Your feet hurt, and your head is buzzing with words like wainscoting and butler's pantry. The idea of living in a van is starting to sound strangely appealing. But then you hear it. The sound of salvation, of hope, of Zillow. You glance at your phone to see a 3-bedroom Craftsman in the right school district, walking distance to coffee with a finished deck. It's pretty perfect. And it just showed up on your phone, like magic. When you sign up for mobile alerts from Zillow, we'll send you homes that fit your search criteria when they hit the market. You can view interior photos, historical pricing data, and learn more about the neighborhood right from your phone. Sign up today at Zillow.com or on our mobile and tablet apps. And to think, you wanted to live in a van. Zillow. Find your way home.
Black cow, the mature manure black cow.
We often mention enriching your native soil with Black Cow when you prepare a flower bed or vegetable garden, or plant new shrubs and trees. Adding Black Cow helps retain moisture and adds millions of healthy microbes to your soil. Healthy soil means healthy plants, but you can also top dress with Black Cow composted cow manure even after planting. You can come back a month or two later and spread Black Cow on top of the soil around the root zone of a shrub or tree, or spread it evenly over a flower bed or rows of vegetables in your garden. Black Cow releases nutrients slowly. It won't burn tender roots because it's fully composted. Look for the bright yellow and black bag at your favorite nursery or garden center. And visit the website too at blackcow.com.
Black cow, the mature manure black cow.
Buried under receipts and confusing tax code? Let Crippen & Company help. They work hard to make the tax preparation process as painless as possible. With offices in Ocala and the Villages, their team is dedicated to helping clients with corporate and personal tax returns, bookkeeping for businesses, and estate planning for the future. Crippen & Company crafts a truly customized experience for each client's needs while alleviating stress and creating a big picture of your overall financial health. Call 352-732-4260 or visit crippencpa.com to get started.
Let's give it up for old asphalt and a new pair of shoes. Let's give it up for a good rhythm meeting a sweet melody. For a church cookout under clear skies. Let's give it up for good things coming together, like bundling your auto and other policies together with an Allstate agent, which can save you time and keep you better protected. Let's give it up for good.
To receive your comparative insurance quote, contact the McDonald Agency at 622-2333.
May is Watch Month. It's also a time to start thinking about that special graduate in your life. A terrific line of watches at Gauss & Son Jewelers will make the perfect gift for that graduate. Rolex, Tag Heuer, Phillips Stein. For graduation, birthdays, anniversaries, check out the line of fine watches and jewelry at Goss & Son Jewelers just to say I love you. Goss & Son Jewelers, the oldest Rolex jeweler in Central Florida. Downtown Ocala for 65 years.
WWOCA,
If you want to avoid getting ripped off and put more money in your pocket, then join me, Clark Howard, every weeknight at 6, right here on WOCA, The Source.
Visit the WOCA website at www.woca.com.
All right, thank you. 25 minutes before 10 o'clock. Beautiful Tuesday morning. Carol Ann Baldwin is here. This program is called In the Garden with Carol Ann because Carol Ann is a master gardener, and she'll answer your questions about your lawn and your garden and everything in between.
And everything in between. And during that time, we'll tell you what to put in your garden, like your Black Cow Cow Manure, one of our great sponsors. And Baldwin's Nursery is somewhere where you can go to pick up your plants. Another one of our wonderful sponsors, and then you can have your tiki built by P&P Tiki Huts and more.
There you go.
Another
Those tiki huts look nice.
They are really sweet, and it's pmptikihuts.com.
I think
is the
so.
website. Yes, I have it right in front of me.
Do you know what Joe sent me? Joe sent me a video of this homemade air conditioner. You basically freeze a bottle of water, like a gallon bottle, milk bottle with water, put it into a 5-gallon bucket.
And blow a fan over.
Cut a hole in it and put holes in the outside and a hole for the top of the fan, and it just blows out. It
blows cool air.
It blows out 42-degree air.
Yeah. Well, you figure that's how
for about 5 hours.
That's how original refrigeration and air conditioning started.
So.
Blocks of ice allowed, and if you ever think about it, if you have. And you can buy these for your porch, for your patio, for your umbrellas, are these misters.
Yeah,
that will actually lower the temperature also. I have a set that I can take camping, or I could even take it to the
What do you
beach.
mean a set? What do you mean?
It's one that you could clip onto your umbrella, and it has the misters around it. And the one I have actually uses one of a pressure tank, like a pump-up sprayer,
right.
that you can put 2 gallons of water in, pump that thing up real good, and it will send that water, just a fine mist, which lowers the temperature.
So when you say umbrella, you mean like a beach umbrella?
Like a beach umbrella, your patio umbrella.
And you make it rain on yourself, essentially?
It's just a very fine mist of water.
Oh, wow.
Years ago, the Market of Marion had those on the big fans up in the ceiling area. And the misters were on there, and the fans blew that, and it really does lower the temperature. Just a fine amount of air.
Wow.
Or a fine amount of moisture in the air. So.
Do you know that area? Gosh, this is probably true in many areas, but there's a road in western Marion County, I guess. And do you know where Lebanon Station is?
Yes.
By chance. So there's a big area where there's nothing but it's like you're in a corridor of trees.
Right.
Both sides of you are tall trees.
Right.
When you're in there, it's cool.
Oh, yeah.
Very cool.
Very cool, yes.
Even though it could be hot, like in the middle of the sun.
Oh, yeah.
Elsewhere.
Well, that's like they say, trees, well, if you think you're in the shade, for one.
Right.
And that area, I'm not sure how low the elevation is in there, that it might actually have some swamp area possibly back in some of those, because you're heading a little further west.
That could be.
But it is just drive through the Ocala National Forest on a day where you've got the shade coming up, across the roads.
Right.
It's nice and cool. Driving into my own yard, I can go and watch the thermometer on my car drop 3 degrees.
Oh wow, really?
3 to 5 degrees in a less than 3 minute period of time. And that's just getting off of the asphalt into a shaded area where there's more trees and that. So, trees do lower temperature. Turf grass lowers temperature. If you ever think about how hot it is, if you're walking down your concrete driveway barefooted, it's hot. You quick jump over on the grass, you go, that's cool.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah,
or even white concrete as opposed to black.
As opposed to the asphalt. Right.
And the heat in the car is basically the end of a musical instrument. If you have a musical instrument in your car, so so what you end up having to do if you go into a restaurant, you end up having to take your instruments into the restaurant,
Right.
and everybody thinks you're going to play for them. So.
Oh, yeah. Can we check these at the door?
Either that or they think you've got a machine gun. In Robin's case, she's got a little...
That's true. That's true. She's got the mobster. She needs the hat. And Robin, you'd look good with the hat. I know. But no, this morning I did come in with the thought of talking about some of the invasive species now that stuff is coming up and frogs are hatching and they're going to make more frogs throughout the season just because any ponds that have water in them, frogs and toads and things like that lay their eggs in those and they're hatching out. And someone I know posted a photo of some tree frogs and they were up at a vent on the side of her home. And I made the comment, they sure did look like Cuban tree frogs. And yes, I'm still believing that they are.
Huh.
They're cute. That's, as my daughter said, the biggest problem with them is that they're cute. Well,
why is that a problem?
Because they're hard to kill.
Okay, I got you. Right.
They are an invasive. They do out-consume, which you'd say, ooh, that's wonderful. They can out-eat our native tree frogs, but they also eat our native tree frogs. They will also eat lizards. And apparently I was reading up on from the Solutions for Your Life, from the IFAS website on the Cuban tree frog, that even as they're a tadpole, somehow or another, they release an enzyme into the water that actually inhibits some of the growth to native toads and tree frogs.
Isn't that something?
That are growing in that same body of water. So, and they can be messy too. They can be really nasty because they are just like other tree frogs, they're a sit and wait. They will get on the walls and windows near an outdoor light fixture,
right.
And in the evening wait for the bugs to come, and then they eat, but they also defecate, and that gets all on your walls. And people are, how do I get rid of them then?
Yeah.
Because then they're nasty. I've heard of people using like double-sided tape on cross members if you have a carport that may be aluminum or vinyl and has cross members, or just along the thing, using that to where they'll get stuck on it. Of course, it's going to stick more than just the frog. It's not a host-specific or target-specific sticky. Another thing is if you catch them by hand, I would suggest you're wearing gloves. Because they are one that is... you may not feel anything right away, but you wouldn't want to accidentally touch your face. My understanding, it can be unpleasant.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like poison?
Somewhat of a little bit of an irritant maybe would be a better word. But the way, and it is apparently a humane way of doing away with them, is to catch them, put them into a plastic bag, and put said bag in the freezer.
You've told me this before.
Once they're in the freezer, just leave them in there for a while and dispose of them in your garbage. Because if it's in the bag, you say, well, a frog will come back to life if it's frozen. Yes, they can, but if they've used up the oxygen in the bag, they're not going to come back. So it is considered a humane way. From my understanding, it's what's recommended through the university. But
just don't confuse it with the meatballs.
Right, don't confuse them. Yeah, stick them in the area. Just label a box going frogs, and it's not for frog legs. Not frog legs, Cuban tree frogs. I don't think we'll ever win against them. So it's just one of those things because, again, they're going to outpopulate. They came into the country years ago, into the state years ago, and they are up all except for the northernmost part up near the Panhandle. I think up there the winters probably get a little more winter-like. So it does keep the population in check. Even with us, it's possibly in check. But I know I don't have near as many, or if any, of the actual green tree frogs left in my yard. But you can catch them. There's different ways of making tubes to make like pieces of PVC pipe, strap them together like you might do for a wasp. If you're going to do a wasp pollinator type thing, where instead of using little pieces of bamboo, you would use like inch or so PVC pipe. Right. And when they get in there, you could just cap it and throw that in the freezer, and then just dump them out in the garbage.
No.
You make frog sickles out of them and dispose of them that way. So.
We're almost up to the next break. The phone lines are open if you want to call. If you call right now, you'll probably on hold for a little while, but we'll be back in about 2 minutes, and you'll be able to speak to Carol Ann. The number is 622-9622. It does not have to be a question. You're certainly welcome to call up and just tell us what's going on in your garden.
There you go.
And maybe there'll be something that comes out of that we all learn from. So
that's right.
So we'll take our little break, and we'll be right back with Carol Ann. The number to call is 622-9622.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. It'll be partly sunny and warm today with a hit-or-miss thunderstorm, high 87 to 91. Partly cloudy tonight, low 67 inland, 72 along the coast. Tomorrow, times of clouds and sun with a shower or thunderstorm in spots, mainly during the afternoon hours over the interior, a high 88 to 92. Thursday, partly sunny with a shower or thunderstorm around in the afternoon, high 84 at the coast, 90 inland. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Black Cow composted cow manure is a terrific organic soil amendment. We start with cow manure from dairy farms and then compost it a full 90 days. The result is an all-natural, dark, rich soil amendment that's great for everything you grow. Flowers, vegetables, shrubs, trees, and lawns too. Look for Black Cow in the bright yellow and black bag at your favorite nursery or garden center.
Black Cow, the mature manure. Black Cow.
Ooh, ouch. Does pain have you glued to the couch? Yes, unfortunately it's true that every year we must get older, but that doesn't mean we have to deal with pain in our back, knees, or shoulder. If your muscles and joints are sore, don't worry anymore. Come get acupuncture from me and you'll be pain-free. Acupuncture starts as low as $35 at a Better You Healthcare. Call me, Dr. Erica Olstein, at 615-5566. Stop your pain from driving you insane.
Hi, this is Brad. I want to take a moment to talk about a serious issue. In the next 5 years, the aviation industry is projected to have a shortage of commercial pilots. Now is the time to start training. Ocala Flying Club has started a scholarship for the youth of Marion County ages 17 to 24. The club will donate up to $4,000 towards a pilot's license. This will help get the student on their way to obtaining their commercial pilot license. If this sounds like something you would be interested in, or if you know someone that would be, please contact Ocala Aviation Services, 861-7484.
The 5 Points of Life Foundation is hosting a golf scramble at Golden Ocala, Monday, May 11th. So get your foursome together and take part at one of the best golf courses in the Southeast. Limited space is available, so visit 5pointsoflife.org or call 352-224-1728 to register your team today. This incredible tournament boasts one of the best player gift packages in the area. A delicious lunch will be provided and award ceremony. The 5 Points of Life Golf Tournament at Golden Ocala.
Putting the local back into radio. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. WOCA News. Variety. Information now. Keep your arms and legs on the inside at all times.
The most trusted name in news, Fox News, every half hour, only on 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source.
WOCA. All right, 13 minutes before 10 o'clock. The phone lines are open if you want to call Carol Ann, 622-9622, and you'll be back in the garden, doing whatever idea Carol Ann recommends that you do.
Try to do something, yeah. Well, we can either keep going on invasives. There's other invasives out there that it's just the Cuban tree frog is what had come up. We all know that down in South Florida, we've talked about the iguanas that fall out of trees, and they've got the boa constrictors down in the Everglades and such like that. And many of those were accidental releases. During Hurricane Andrew, some of the pets or the pet store supplies got out. The Cuban tree frog actually came in, I think, from the islands. They may even have come over through one of the storms as well at some point.
Do you know do you think it's relatively dry right now? That's my opinion.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So a few years ago, we had a dry spell. Right. And then it got rainy, and then we had sinkholes. Remember that?
Right.
So that's something I was just thinking about, too, is that might happen again.
Right. I don't think we're at that point of that dry, because we've had several years. We've had good weather, and they're actually talking that our rains may actually start up here a little early.
Good.
Good. Let's hope.
I would hate to have a sinkhole under my place.
Yeah, me too.
Or under this place. Yeah. Good morning. You're on the air with Carol Ann. Oh, no, I guess you're not.
Wrong button?
Well,
No, they went away. I'm sorry, I talked too long. You can call back. Yeah, and there's also, I was reading a little earlier this morning, too, on dealing with invasive or, plants within the landscape, and we all have come across, the smilax vines, the air potato, Chinaberry trees, the Chinese tallow. There's not too many, I don't think, of the Chinese tallow left. There may be, because I know there was a big eradication effort on those, and it did seem to be, I think, fairly successful. Those were ones everybody loved them. We called them popcorn trees because when they were in bloom, it actually looked like popcorn on them.
I think I know what you mean, yeah.
They were real pretty. Again, one of those invasive species that we originally planted like gangbusters. Some of the plants that are on the invasive species lists, I think the ones that you may find in nurseries and garden centers now are going to be hybrided versions of those, to where the growers, the breeders of these plants, because people like them, have bred them down to where, or bred them up, I don't know how you'd say, to where the seed is sterile. So the
really?
invasiveness begins to go away or is lessened.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you do have a phone call. Good morning. You're on the air with Carol Ann.
Morning, Carol Ann.
Morning.
2 cents on the little flexible garden hose.
Yeah.
I use it every day. I love it, but the only thing is you can't shut it down.
What do you mean?
Every house has different water pressures.
Right.
So it does have a thing so you can turn it off and stop the water from flowing. And when you do that, it just sort of pushes it to the max. And that's flow on it. But usually if I just leave it open all the time, go and use it, because you know me, I water plants every day.
Right.
So I find it in a lot of places, and I've used it for a couple of years.
Oh, cool.
It occasionally will blow out, but you just can't lock it down.
Right. Oh, so if you have a nozzle on it, you have to actually let that run.
Right.
If you're not using it, unless you turn the water off back at the source.
Yeah.
Why? What happens? It explodes?
It'll.
It still expands and gets larger, even though you don't do that, even though you don't shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
It'll still work great. It puts out water.
Right.
Not as a hose, but it still works good.
Right.
And you don't like puncturing it on rose bushes and stuff, but other than that, it's great. I love it.
Great. Well, there you go. We got a great roaring endorsement.
It's like a water balloon, you mean?
You too. Have a great day. Kind of. She said, it expands and it won't collapse back down again on you. That it gets to the point, but that because all houses and things like that have different water pressures, and she takes hers with her because the work she does, she waters plants commercially. Some of the rented plants throughout the county, and so each of these places have a different water pressure within it. Whatever stresses are on the water is how much water pressure coming through. And so if you have the water turned on back at the hose bib and you have your nozzle to be able to put your wand on there, you don't just set that down without water coming out of that, because the pressure will build up in that hose. It doesn't have a way of, unless you had a restrictor, your own restrictor on it to lower the water pressure. So apparently high water pressures aren't real happy for it. And she said, some rose bushes have done some dings and things to them, but other than that, she loves hers. So that was great.
Just a little more expensive.
Yeah, they are, and they have their place. I mean, because they are very lightweight.
Yeah.
And so if you have a small area that you need to water, they're great for that.
Yeah.
And I do know somebody who has actually, I think, 2 or 3 in her yard. Now she keeps hers right on her, attached to her faucets, and sort of rolls them up and sticks a pot over top of them to keep the squirrels away from them.
Oh, wow.
And it would keep the ultraviolet. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Squirrels are destructive. And so those, that they are pretty neat. Now, the other ones that I have a little more working with has been those coil hoses that are supposed to spring back together.
Okay.
That it's like a coil of a telephone or cable. And those stretch out and stay stretched out, unfortunately. And I don't know if it's because of the water pressure.
Oh, really?
And so instead of coiling back up neatly, they're now getting more and more. They're getting longer and longer, and so I think that was a mistake.
Do you know what I noticed a long time ago? When I'm washing the dog, if the hose has been sitting out in the sun,
right, it's quite hot.
It's very hot.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's I usually try to, drain the hose. Once it's you turn it off and pull the trigger at least, and so don't.
That wouldn't hurt the plant. Like if you were using that hot water to.
I usually try to let that go elsewhere or move it around, so that or up in the air a little bit so that it's cooling on its way back down. That first few minutes of water coming out of the hose.
It is hot too.
Yeah.
Really.
It'll
I don't know what the temperature is, but it's pretty hot.
It's intensified on there. When that's how solar works.
Right.
And that's how that's a cheap way of making a solar hot water heater as well. But on the hoses and things like that, you find one that you like the best. There's different hoses for the weight. Realizing the lightweight ones are going to kink much easier, much more freely. They may crack or burst more, at a lower water pressure. Your never kinks and things like that. I always laugh at the never kink. They kink, but if the water pressure's high enough, it pops it back out on you. Finding your water nozzle that you like the best. I mean, I carry one around. It's funny, I carry mine with me in the car because in case I need one at work and I want mine.
Right.
You go, I'll go get my own and do it. Use the one that I like to use. So
we are close to the end, and I don't really have a trivia question, but I do have a $20 Bob Wine's gift certificate.
Great.
So I'd like to give it away.
Sure.
So I think what I'd like to do, rather than ask a trivia question, if you'd like the $20 Bob Wine's gift certificate, call and tell Carol Ann about your least favorite invasive species, whether it's animal or plant.
Right.
Okay. I guess there'd be no mineral, right?
Right. No, I was going animal,
so
vegetable, and I don't think vegetable mineral.
Your least favorite invasive species, the one that you hate the most.
Right.
See, I kind of like the iguana, but I don't live in South Florida.
Right.
So that's my
the
favorite.
Iguana, I was going to say, and the iguana is something at least you can see them.
And they eat your Cheetos.
Yeah, they'll eat your Cheetos.
And you can pretend they're dinosaurs.
Right.
Good morning. You've got the $20 gift certificate if you can tell Carolyn your least favorite.
My least favorite is one I used to think was cute, a raccoon, because they tore up one of my bird houses. I mean, they ripped this nailed-on roof off and killed all the babies and everything. So I do not like them.
But they're not an invasive species, though. They were here.
Well, then I'll tell you the popcorn tree, because I have that in my yard. Can't get rid of it. And if you don't mow all the time, suddenly you've got the forest of the popcorn tree.
Oh, wow.
The China berry tree, because my son loves them because they smell, when they bloom, there's that wonderful fragrance.
Right. But the China berry and the tallow, the popcorn tree. Okay, you got us on that one then.
That raccoon, I guess he was here before me.
Yes, yeah.
Then I'm the invasive species.
Right, but
your plant sale was great last week, but I don't know why you have all these plants and I want to have them. I'm addicted.
There you go. Well, that's it. It's a good addiction.
I buy like one or two, but I think I bought one or two more.
Two more, and then a couple more after that. That's it. That's all right with us. We don't mind.
But it was a wonderful plant sale. It really was. It was set up very nice, and everybody was so helpful and friendly and telling you about everything. Because at first I didn't have my reading glasses on, so I couldn't read the little letters.
Oh gosh, yeah, that's always. That's always tough.
Anyway, I like them all. I'm addicted to plants.
Great. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. And yes, you do get the Bob Wine's gift certificate.
Yeah, because I do have the popcorn tree here. Oh, and that air potato, I guess.
Yeah, air potatoes. That one would be my worst.
But there's still going to be the beetles around.
I'm hoping. I keep watching for them in my yard. I've seen a couple holes in leaves. I think I might make the inquiry today to the contact I have and see whether or not how they overwintered the beetle So we
But I
know whether or
noticed
not
when
to
I
expect
pulled up
it.
Any of these air potato vines, there's just roots. There's no little potato or big potato on the bottom. I only had one that actually had somewhat of a potato on it.
Probably has one. You're just not You may not be down deep enough to find it. Those will pull right off of there. They'll actually break off.
Because usually, any other time when I pulled them up, there's always been potato or potatoes up there.
Right.
Yeah.
It's possible that they break off underneath there, under the ground, and so that's why you're not seeing it. But we've had a great show today. Thank you to P&P Tiki's and More, Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens and Nursery, and Black Cow Manure, the mature manure.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And Ann, if you're still listening, we have your gift certificate waiting for you right here.
All right.
You just ran up against the end
That's
of the clock.
it.
Thank
Thanks,
you, Carolyn.
Larry.
Good show.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll keep you posted on my multi-coned
Multi-cone sago palm.
sago.
Sago.
It smells
Sweet. That's nice.
different. I've
Yeah,
never
right.
smelled anything
Maybe-
like it, but it's
yeah.
not a bad smell. Yeah.
Good.
All right, we'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. A new quake strikes Nepal just weeks after one which left more than 8,000 people dead.
I was actually in a hotel room on the third floor.